for you today. Well, I know I always say that, but the truth of the matter is I've got a really exciting show for you today. We're going to talk about why and how to advertise with your inventory on Facebook. So if I want to know how to advertise my inventory on Facebook, if I want to know how to do it effectively, if I want to know how to get results, who do I turn to? Reunion marketing. Of course. I'm going to introduce you to some of my friends right now, starting with Dave Sponicky. Hello,
hey,
Dave.
Hey, thanks for having us back on again.
You ready to rock?
Ready to rock, ready to roll.
I know that Amy Peck is lurking somewhere. There she is. Hello.
Hello.
I'm not going to actually bring Giancarlo one. I haven't a photograph him. We'll put it on in his place. No, there he is. Giancarlo Montenegro.
Yes, sir. Howdy.
How many people don't get that on the first try?
About 97%.
I'll tell you what. I'm traveled. Dave, since last we talked, Facebook marketing. Why is this important? Why do we want to talk about it? What's the value?
Well, I mean, a lot of folks know that Facebook is an important place to advertise. It's one of the most cost-effective places out there to advertise. But it's changed so much. I mean, really, just since you and I met, it's changed dramatically. And a lot of folks are still doing things, a little more old school, the different way, not changing as quickly as the rest of the industry is changing. And we've seen that time and time again with all sorts of different channels. From email marketing and PPC, the websites first coming out for dealers. I mean, the adoption has always been not quite as slow as what consumers, their adoption is. And so we've seen some really, really dramatic changes in consumer behavior with these on Facebook destination AAAs that, we have a lot of info to share about today.
Got a lot of information. I understand Giancarlo probably knows his stuff. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's what they tell me.
We already got a question on the screen. Boy, that's premature. But okay, what is better, new car dealership or used car dealership?
Is that Giancarlo question?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if this is regarding the on Facebook AIAs, then I would tell you that the technology works very well for both applications, and we're seeing really strong efficiencies regardless if it's new or used.
Fantastic. Amy, what is your role in this conspiracy?
My role is over the client success team. So my team works directly with the dealerships, working through strategy, driving results, and creating that partnership with them. So my role is executing, relaying results to our client base.
Fantastic. So you're going to interpret the stats, in other words.
Exactly. Yep.
Fantastic. Giancarlo, this is not my area of expertise. I'm going to pitch the softball to you. Tell me everything you know about Facebook inventory advertising, how to do it, why you should do it. Of course, I would recommend they get an agency, but if they don't have an agency, how would they do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what's important is to set the stage here, right, and why we're having this conversation right now. As Dave, alluded to, we are in the midst of one of the largest industry, Facebook changes that has occurred since 2017, and all the backlash that came out of the 2016 election, in which we saw the reduction of our ability to target by in-market parameters and things that we really took for granted. So what this change is it basically limits and drastically reduces the amount of data that Facebook is going to get back from our dealer websites and vice versa. So what happens in that atmosphere? Facebook needs to keep activity and data point volumes high. And how do they do that? They do that by keeping the consumer within the Facebook ecosphere. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is the on Facebook AIAs. it works just like any other dynamic carousel inventory ad. It looks aesthetically the same to the ones that we're driving to a dealer site, but instead of going to a dealer site, it goes to an on Facebook marketplace style page that loads in under half a second and is fully trackable, reportable, and retargetable.
Wait a minute. A marketplace facsimile page? I mean, how do you create that?
Oh, luckily for me, we don't have to. Facebook does it automatically on our behalf. Every single vehicle that is within a catalog on Facebook gets a pre-populated VDP style marketplace-esque page.
That's what I see. Sometimes I ask questions, I actually know the answers. So it creates a VDP appearing page, but it's on Facebook. And how do you do this? Tell me the nuts and bolts. A dealer wants to do this. They didn't hire you. They're doing it themselves. How do they do this?
Yeah. So this entire process and ad technology is powered and centered around the Facebook catalog. So as long as you as a dealer are able to successfully import your catalog and have it update 2, 3, 4 times a day to make sure you're not trying to sell vehicles that your salespeople have already sold, then you will be able to connect it on to the back end within your Facebook campaigns.
So you upload it into the campaign.
Yeah, you upload the catalog into Facebook and then power it within the Facebook campaign itself. Yes.
Fantastic. Dave, jump in there a second.
Sure. I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about, all the nuts and bolts and, the results and everything that's been happening. I mean, that's all Giancarlo's domain. It's very excited that he's part of our team. He's one of the forefront experts in the space. But I like to always, look at these new changes in consumer behavior and technology and liken them to different analogies over time. This shift has happened so quickly and consumers have adapted to it so quickly. And a lot of that is that people want less friction in their lives, and the dealers that move towards these new technologies and they really keep a focus on consumer behavior are the ones that are going to win, and we've learned this time and time again throughout marketing history. I mean, the first folks to get into email marketing were doing so and getting, those high open rates and those very, very low cost touch points, PPC campaigns back. I remember I was working for that dealership group that I was working for before, moving money away from the newspaper. We had $5 million a year in the newspaper. We dropped that to $1 million. We pumped that into internet advertising beforehand. And, the cost per clicks were way less than they are today. And that helped us jump ahead in the market, and we outpaced the market a lot, and the same kind of thing happening with Facebook. I mean, people were doing Facebook wrong before, where focusing on organic. I mean, the organic visibility dropped, and not really featuring the cars and trying to recreate a newspaper-like ad experience instead of remembering, the cars are the stars and showcase your inventory on there. And so dealers started doing that, and we got to where we wanted to have a good amount of ad variety, ad volume for dealerships across the country. That's where you saw the best successes with the automotive inventory ads, AIAs. If we didn't mention the acronym there, we've got a ton in auto, right? But now, they're doing them on Facebook, and it's amazing some of the results that we're seeing and activities we're seeing, because we were already so impressed with having dozens of different ads or scores of different ads that really match different audience profiles. But then moving it on Facebook and removing that friction of going off site, having a little bit more trust there. I mean, a lot of different factors are coming into creating this environment that the results have been like mind blowing a little bit. And then this is just another one of those opportunities.
I've seen incredible results. I'll switch to Amy 1 second here. Amy, talk about the stats. What kind of results are we getting?
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, we're seeing just from the beta tests that we've done, we're seeing like CPCs in half of what we were seeing from, CPCs before, which is really, like Dave said, like the results on Facebook are so strong anyway when you're running inventory specific ads and retargeting. So we really weren't sure what to expect when we started testing, because it's like, well, they're already so good, but obviously we want to continue to test and stay at the forefront. But yeah, we started testing and just saw like just really outstanding results, lower CPCs, really strong interactions, messages, phone calls directly from the Facebook platform. So just
Amy,
really,
CPC?
Cost per click, sorry.
Another acronym. I knew that.
Another acronym. Yeah. So just really, really strong results. Like I mean, I personally was shocked at how great the results were.
Fantastic. Okay, Giancarlo, we're going to put all their inventory on Facebook. How is this physically done? Where do they get the upload to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, they just get to work with their inventory provider, whoever they utilize, and they'll be able to pump in a file directly to Facebook. And as long as it's formatted properly, which Facebook does a great job in being able to provide like a diagnostics view, so you can see how many of your vehicles have successfully, been imported into the platform. And then from there, it's just a simple paid social activation from there.
Well, how are the consumers finding the inventory?
That's a great question. So Facebook actually, as we all know, is has an absurd amount of wealth as it pertains to user data. And that amount of data not only grows in volume, but grows in sophistication. So we're able to leverage a dynamic prospecting tool that Facebook identifies people who are currently in market, not just in market within your local, geographic radius, but people who are not only in your geographic radius, but also have a high likelihood to purchase one of the vehicles that you currently have in the latest iteration of the catalog that has been uploaded to Facebook. And they then serve them that along with similar vehicles that they very well are currently in the market for.
Fantastic. I'm trying to picture, because I go on Facebook, excuse me, I go on Facebook all the time and I don't see cars. Are you
in the market to buy a car?
Well, if I was, how would they find me?
Well, so not only would you be sending signals possibly within Facebook, checking out local dealerships, but they also have an extensive audience network that feeds in massive, massive troves of data to help supplement the on Facebook data. So even if you're searching off of Facebook and on some industry sites, I guarantee you a handful of them are certified Facebook partners and are actively sharing that data with them. So you will get captured into that pool one way or another.
All of a sudden, it's going to appear on my sidebar. In other words,
that's right.
All of a sudden, that's how that happens. Okay, Dave, jump in here 1 second.
Sure. Yeah, and at some point, I think that Giancarlo has some results listed or on standby. Is that right, Giancarlo, to walk through some of the specifics?
Yeah, I'm going to want to see that in a second.
Yeah.
Right now, I just want to build an audience and let people get an idea what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. So, I think, one of the, I guess, first things, if I'm a big part of my job before Reunion, I was managing that $8 million budget for Dealership Group. And so I always like to think about, well, where does this stuff fall within a budget? There's certain things that I really want to keep, solid foundations, really want to focus on having a good, highly converting website and driving traffic there and those kind of things. But I mean, the stuff this year that I'm most excited about that I really would recommend to dealers to make sure that you have at the forefront of the top of your mind to add to your budget are, the Google local ads. Which are really cutting costs down in terms of people reaching out and creating phone calls and those things, and then these on Facebook destination AIAs. I mean, if those two things aren't part of your budget, I really would strongly encourage you to reconsider that part, because I mean, again, things are changing so quickly. Just like last year, digital retailing. We started off the year 15% of the industry was participating, and we ended the year with close to 70%. The consumer experience has changed, and it's changing so quickly that keeping top of mind some of these frictionless marketing channel efforts and making sure that they're part of your budget, I think it's crucial to do so. I mean, the cost savings, the ability to work around some of the privacy policy updates that are happening, iOS 14, which I know is on our list of things that we want to talk about with you. Staying ahead of those things and still delivering upon the expectations of the consumer. This is something that really should be on your radar if it's not. And again, it's not just doing the carousel ads. If you're not doing inventory right now and you're just trying to push out sales specials and things like that, that's something that I really encourage you not to.
People are doing sophisticated newspaper ads when they should be viewing it as a holistic approach.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Amy a question. Amy, center stage. Hey, how cost effective is this?
Crazy cost effective. Like we were saying earlier, Facebook in general is super cost effective, which is why I think it's taken off, so fast. So I think it's just a great place to be. But then like we touched on just a little bit, and I know Giancarlo is going to get into more results, but the AIA ads on Facebook are even more cost effective. So it's just really a really cheap, cost effective is a better way to say it than cheap, cost effective way to get eyes on your inventory. So this is kind of a no brainer, as Dave says. If you are not doing this today, you need to be doing this.
Well, yeah, when you talk about a no brainer, I say this is a no brainer. If you're not doing it, you have no brain.
I wouldn't be that worried about it, but
well, I would. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna bring Giancarlo back on a second. Center stage. Talk about the results.
Happy to. So I think what I should preface this by is that Facebook really does tend to treat its advertisers like, myself and my team as just like kids in a candy store with, new specials out every week. When there's something new out, they want you to have it. They know it's hot and they're going to reward you for utilizing it. And that's been the case time and time and time again. And this is no exception. So while Amy, absolutely spot on that we, generally see really strong efficiencies in being able to reach our targeted users by, tracking your CPC, CPM down to VDP view efficiencies, those are just being blown out of the water by these. In terms of CPM itself, we're seeing an average of 78% reduction comparing to our other dynamic ads, which are already extremely low. We're seeing CPMs as low as $1.40 here. And then in addition to that, what dealers really tend to care about when they're reading out their Facebook reporting metrics are how efficient are my new and used VDP costs. And there we're seeing, once again, anywhere from our worst performing was 46% improvement all the way to an 81% improvement in terms of the efficiency we're able to yield for a new or used VDP. And that's talking as low as 13 to 15 cents. So anytime you can drive that kind of a value metric for a dealer at that level of efficiency, it's a win-win for everyone involved.
So we're seeing the results. Amy just said we're cost effective. James Freeman earlier asked about new or used. I would assume that used, being a unique product, is probably getting a better result than the new product that everybody has the same model.
It's fairly comparable. I would say yes. It skews ever so slightly from the data that we've aggregated towards used, but nevertheless, the delta in performance between Facebook 2020 and this on Facebook AIA of 2021, it's just day and night, regardless of what is in your inventory. Quite frankly, because we are utilizing that dynamic prospecting, and we're able to make sure that we are going after those targeted users.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. Targeted users. How are we adjusting the demographic, geographically, age? Occupation, anything. What demographics can you target here?
Well, I mean, you can leverage any of those ones you listed. You can make sure that you are targeting, a man over 65 in the middle of South Carolina if you wanted to. But the way we see it is, I really don't care who you are. I care that you want to buy a vehicle, and more importantly, you want to buy a vehicle that my dealer has in stock, ready to go right now. So we tend to actually just empower the machine learning, behind the guarded wall of Facebook, to bring those end users to us.
Okay, so it's set it and forget it.
So great question.
Yeah.
It sounds fairly automatic, and Lord knows if it was, I'd have much more free time in my day.
So it's not. So you're trying to tell Dave you're overpaid? What?
I signed the contract. It's too late at this point. No. So while these do run extremely efficiently, we're always at Reunion testing out all sorts of extractable parameters, down from ad format to creative to copy, to just A/Bing different iterations to make sure that we're maximizing, because we know that these efficiencies likely aren't going to stay forever. It's just the way that social works. Something works really great, and then one day it slowly tapers off.
The herd goes to it, and it dilutes the results. And
exactly. So
you got to be on the cutting edge. You got to be surfing on the edge of the wave, and then the wave hits the beach. I got all kinds of. But, yes. So anyway, one thing I was interested in when I asked you guys to. And by the way, this is the power team from Reunion Marketing. Now, how do we get in touch with Reunion Marketing, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out to any of us on our LinkedIn, or our emails are on the website, or, I mean, you can call my personal cell phone if you'd like to. It's 919-259-4614. Again, 919-259-4614. And
I haven't got the
we love taking
screen,
questions for sure.
So say it real slow. I haven't got this format I'm using right now. The only thing I miss is the ability to write on the screen. I don't have that.
Yeah. It's 919-259-4614.
Right. They can rewind it till they get it. Right. Okay.
Yep.
No problem. What's your website?
And then www.reunionmarketing.com. And I mean, you can find us on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, and we're very actively engaged across all the different platforms. We like getting out there. We like helping dealers and asking questions and answering questions.
Well, I've known you for quite a while, and we got a little longevity in this relationship. I'm going to ask you: are we getting results with tell me some specifics. Give me some war. I want to hear some war stories.
Well, I mean, I think it's worth. I mean, just going back to what Giancarlo was talking about, I think it's worth it. I always like comparing and adding perspective to what it is we're seeing, right? So, he mentioned less than $2 CPM, and for those who don't know, CPM's cost per thousand. That's a metric that I've always liked, because I used to spend. I used to spend our dealers' budget, but I mean millions of dollars across traditional media, and CPM is one of those equalizing metrics for whether it's newspaper or radio or TV or transition to different outlets. And so that $2 for every 1,000 ads is what is I've seen under that for so many of these different clients. And then you look at studies like WordStream across the industry, and the average cost per click, per individual click, was $2.20 in 2020. So I mean, if you're talking about getting 1,000 ads out there that are being seen for less cost than what one single click costs for doing things, the maybe older ways.
Wait a minute, did I hear that right?
It's nuts. I mean, the cost per clicks that we're seeing are, Giancarlo, what's our average for that we're seeing now with this new thing? And this is what you can see if you are again at the forefront. Same thing's going to happen. What's the number in Giancarlo again?
For the on Facebook, just the clicks itself, we're seeing an average of 18 cents.
Yeah. Remember when PPC was at first a
18
thing, right?
cents?
My light went out here. Someone's going to pay the power bill.
Pay per click, 18 cents. Are we making that up? I mean, come on. 18 cents.
Yeah, well, that's why we're so loud and excited about it. I think, right, is because it's, just like if you remember doing PPC back in like 2006, 2007. I remember, early when dealers were getting on that train and there's so little competition. And this isn't as much about competition; it's a supply and demand thing on Facebook and their inventory and incentivizing this use and this new behavior. But I mean, that's why it's so important to really always be at the forefront and seeing what's out there and trying new things. Because when you discover these kind of things, this is as exciting as first getting into email marketing.
Oh, I've seen so much evolution. I'm a little older than you. I was there when Keith Richards was born. And, I've been around a while, and I remember in the day when I was buying mailing lists, and I would get with the mailing list company. I'd say, okay, I want women 18 to 35, and I want mothers. And then they would boil that list down to mothers that play tennis. And, and that's what we're basically looking at today is boiling that down to specifics. Jim, the center screen here, I want to ask you, tell me about some of the specific results we're getting. Tell me some of your dealer success stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the one bit of info that we actually haven't even touched on is the fact that these results are aggregated in Q4. Like we were able to achieve these results in the quarter where everything is more expensive because there are millions and millions of more dollars competing and vying for that same inventory. Within the Facebook news feeds, within the Instagram feeds, even within the other smaller placements, there's significant spikes around the holidays, of course. So we're currently working pretty tirelessly to expand out the list of dealers that we have running on Facebook technology, because we anticipate even greater efficiencies when we are able to retroactively look back and report back on this quarter. And we've seen that trend, hold true so far. So we talk about, like an 18 cents cost per click. We're seeing as low as 7 to 9 cents just within the first half of Q1 so far. So it's extremely exciting times.
7, 8 cents.
7, 8 cents.
Yeah.
As well.
You ever see the movie Home Alone? That's incredible. Amy, you're the one dealing with the customers, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are they saying?
Yeah. So the good thing about our customers is we do create really strong relationships with them. So they typically listen to things that we bring to the table and make recommendations on. So I think for the most part, they're like, if you guys think we should try it, we'll try it. Obviously, we're coming, with some results, preliminary result type stuff to bring to them. I know, like initially there was, some pushback. Like as an industry, we've pushed so hard for, analytics and that third-party reporting platform, and now we're pulling all of that into, instead of like making your website your showroom and everyone goes there and do this and everyone wants to shop on your website. It's kind of like been a step back for the dealers, and like, okay, take a step back. Now we're not going to send them to your website, but it's going to be okay. Because
wait,
I
know you're not going to send them to the website.
I know I think we all kind of felt that a little bit when these came out. We just, I guess call us old school, maybe not newspaper old school, but website old school, right? So, at the end of the day, like really what we're telling our
I invented old school.
I bucket for sure.
I have underwear older than you.
Yeah. I hope not.
Wearing it right now.
But yeah, I think that was like really the only question was like, okay, wait, we spent all this time on our website and optimizing it, which you still should be doing. And now we're going to keep them on Facebook. But at the end of the day, we have to, as an industry, continue to morph into what the shoppers and consumers experience needs to be. And the experience on Facebook, keeping them on Facebook, is a better shopping experience. And that's why we're seeing the results we are. I'm pretty sure of that.
Just lately, I'm hearing that, well, don't send them to your website. GMB's got it handled. Now, all of a sudden, Google My Business. All of a sudden, I'm hearing, well, Google My Business. Now, Facebook has got Giancarlo, the wizard behind the curtains over here. He's got it down to 7-8 cents a click. My God. So your customers are genuinely happy, I would imagine.
Yes. With those results, yes, very much so.
And that's not just equating into VDPs. It's not equating into clicks. It's equating into sales. I mean, they're actually buying.
Yeah, I mean, eyes on inventory turn into sales for sure.
Fantastic
relation.
Dave, pick it up.
Yeah, well, and I think that it's important to really I think to understand that trend happening. You mentioned GMB and more eyeballs there, and we're not saying, I guess to clarify, we're not saying the website's not still important, because I mean every dealership is still getting thousands and thousands and thousands of visits to the website, and so you want to optimize that and focus on conversion there and make sure your inventory is very visible there and engaging and creating those conversations and creating the response that you want to get people to the dealership. But I think now it's just a matter of you got to do that and this and GMB. GMB is now I think Bright Local had that study that came out just a couple months ago that it's 40% of the importance of local SEO now, and it was less than 20%.
You talk about major paradigm shifts.
Yeah, it's wild.
Lead providers are almost extinct. I mean, they're being sucked down in the tar pits, eating their last brown shriveled leaves off the trees. I mean, dealers are taking control of their own budget. They're taking own lead generation between GMB, Facebook, all the social avenues, all the pay-per-clicks out there. I mean, when we had some pay-per-click experts on last time. I mean, right now, dealers can pretty well self-reliantly generate their own business using tools like this.
Yeah, and really, even the third-party sites, and that we don't tell dealers, cut out third-party sites. I'd much rather cut out TV or radio before that, but even this Facebook for the first time with these on Facebook destination AIAs, those cost per leads are almost always lower cost per lead than the third-party sites right now already, and that's I think partly just because of the volume play and those kind of things, and really we're really focused on targeting the right people, getting the right engagement. But that's one of the biggest surprises for us was that all of a sudden, we were getting actual leads out of Facebook, and historically always have, but not at the significantly lower rates. And I think that's a trust thing. I think that people, for whatever reason, they trust Google, they trust Facebook. You're on Facebook, and you're more willing. And it's easier. There's less friction to create that engagement because Facebook makes it easier. So that's something we've been surprised about. Also, is some of those results that historically have not been nearly as quick. Facebook was usually the stimulus channel, get people into the market, get people shopping, get people beginning to show interest. But now, it's cutting that part of the journey down that much faster because there's so much less friction on that platform.
Fantastic. Giancarlo, front and center, big guy. Tell me something we haven't talked about.
Yeah, I think that, and I know it was lightly touched on, but all of this really, not to say that it wouldn't happen, organically through, what Facebook had in their pipeline, but all of this has been expedited greatly with the ongoing changes with regards to the Apple iOS update and kind of the intra-fighting between Apple and Facebook going on right now. And I think that's really the big centerpiece here.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the latest iteration of Apple iOS, what users will see the first time they open up their Facebook app is a giant pop-up on the screen that says, this app it will share data from your activity based on the site Would you, do you opt into this? Instead of right now, all this is already happening, but there's no opt-out system really. You can, it's just extremely difficult, quite frankly. So it's an opt-in versus opt-out scenario. And when you're talking about a mobile stream in terms of traffic that's as large as iOS, which for some dealers can be as high as 85 to 90% of what they're getting from paid social specifically, we're talking about a massive paradigm shift if you lose visibility into that data. So this is not only something that's great and wonderful because it drives efficiencies for us and subsequently for our dealers, but it also just helps them survive in this cookieless future that we are, quite frankly, just in the beginning stages of, emerging into.
Wait, the cookieless future. I love that. Yeah. Oh, golly. Did you when you take Giancarlo out in public, did you have to have an interpreter?
We always know what he's talking about. I mean, there's so many acronyms out there for sure. But,
oh yeah, I mean, my gosh, cookieless future. I'm gonna have to file that away. I'll use that again. So yeah, like my wife, we'd be watching TV at night, and she swears that the TV is listening to us because the ads are popping up on her handheld. We were just talking about that. We're talking about our puppy, and all of a sudden she gets dog food. Is the big screen listening to her? I don't know.
yeah.
Comcast is spying on us. So anyway, this has been great so far. What else do we need to talk about? We're talking about inventory online. And categorize it. What is the category, Giancarlo?
Pardon?
Giancarlo, what is the category that people are looking for? Inventory online. What do they call it?
On Facebook inventory.
On Facebook inventory.
It all feeds through the Facebook catalog.
Okay, so you can basically search for in Facebook. You can search for on Facebook inventory.
Well, if dealers have their pages set up to the latest best practice specs, you will be able to access it through. You can custom name it, but most dealers are just naming it inventory, and you can view these marketplace style pages, through organic routes as well as being served, hyper targeted paid ads.
Fantastic. Amy, what have we not talked about in your realm that we need to talk about?
Oh, yeah, it seems like we've covered most of it. We talked about like the changes, the cookieless future, which I also like that too. So I will take that. I think it's really just focusing on like, how do we continue to, I guess, kind of like legally stalk or creep? Like you talk about the dog food ad. I mean, that's all, capabilities that we're going to be challenged on a little bit by this Apple update. So really just focusing, how do we continue to get the data that we want so that we can personalize the ads the way that we need to?
How can we get the data to personalize the ads?
Yes, which is what Facebook is doing with these, so we can keep them on there.
Dave, wrap us up.
Sure. I think things to keep top of mind, in general, not just the on Facebook AIAs, but just the cars are the stars. So when you're doing social media advertising, remember that, this is, going old school, the line ads. I used to spend a ton of time coordinating the line ads and getting cars into Automart and Auto Trader magazines and stuff. People love looking at cars. So that's one of the reasons that it works so well. The cars are the stars, feature those. Don't try to be cute about it with your newspaper-like ads. Make sure you have your inventory and make sure you feature those so people can learn a little bit more. As what all of the data proves that. I mean, it's 100% proven, right? And then I think another thing to keep top of mind is don't forget about all aspects of the dealership. So James asked that question earlier, new or used. If you have inventory, new or used, get that out there. And then also, it's not just the AIAs, but I mean, don't forget fixed ops as part of the solution too, because again, when you have CPMs that maybe not as low as, cost per thousand getting out for the AIAs, it's still way cheaper than doing a lot of the mailers and things out there that you can get in front of targeted audiences. Use your first party dealership data, ownership data from, IHS, Polk, those kind of things to target just people who own a Honda if you're a Honda dealership and things like that. So don't forget fixed ops. And just keep in mind too, a lot of people are spending a lot of time on the organic trends, and what's happening organically. So much, we talked about it, how easy is it for people to go find the dealership's inventory on their page? It is easier now, right? But the majority of people, Facebook's a stimulus channel. You're trying to get in front of the right people and get people going. So, if you're going to really be focusing on your efforts, focus on getting in front of the right people, because a lot of the people aren't going to Facebook to start that journey until they get kickstarted through the advertising efforts. So just keeping that top of mind. We're the ones, that are trying to get that started. If you remember, heck, even 18 million cars sold in our best year ever, or close to, that still averages out to be, right a little bit over 0.5% per month of the overall total population in the country. So we were always going with 99%, trying to trigger that 99% plus.
What you got to remember is there's only 200 million licensed drivers in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been pumping 43 million used cars and 16, 17, 18 million new cars, 60 million roughly average a year.
Right.
We're reaching saturation. And these cars last longer. We're financing them too long. We're not doing financing. We're doing weddings. They're married to that car for a while when they buy it. So, in the law of diminishing returns, we got to get that customer right now while they're at what I call the zero moment, what a lot of people call the zero moment. While they're in the shop, we talk about their shopping journey. We talk about the steps along that journey, but we have to get them in the beginning, and we got to get them at the zero moment when they're actually ready to transact. They might have visited any number of dealerships and other sites on that journey, but if I got to get them at the zero moment.
Yeah, exactly. We celebrate 18 million, right? And used car doesn't fluctuate quite as much as new. It's hovering in that 40, 45 range, right? But it's such a small percentage still. Any given month is going to go out and buy a new car, especially for the franchise stores. That all these efforts, keeping that in mind, that targeting the right way. Those are the things that help you. Increase your allocation by increasing your share of market and those kind of things, and just keeping that top of mind is so important through these efforts, and just keep up with the changing consumer behavior would be my final thought on that. If you're doing that, your budget's going to go way further than the competition. You're going to increase your market share, and then allocation allows you to keep that and sustain that and grow, and that's how you do it. Right.
Okay, we're talking to Reunion Marketing. This is the power team, and we've got the power team and Giancarlo. I don't know why I chose to pick on you, Giancarlo.
All good.
I have no idea.
We're talking Facebook. He's the smartest in the room. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. What's his qualifications anyway, Dave?
You look at all the rest of the experts out there, all things social media, and we picked the best one. So.
See, you say this character's pretty good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't say he's not a character. I just said he's pretty good.
Absolutely. One more time. Reunion Marketing, reunionmarketing.com?
Yep.
Okay, reunionmarketing.com. Okay, and real slowly, what's your phone number?
Yeah. Feel free to go reach out and ask questions. 919-259-4614. That's my personal cell.
Okay, stick around.